Hello everyone, and welcome to the first EDUC output sharing themed event that will be focused on one of the main aims of the EDUC program, empowering youth. So, with specific attention to the common strategies for promoting active participation and engagement of students within the EDUC Alliance and beyond. My name is Esther Kois. I'm Director's Delegate for Inclusion, Equal Opportunities and the University Gender Policies at the University of Cagliari in Italy. And I'm also a member of the EDUC Advisory Board on Equal Opportunities, Inclusion and Diversity. As we all know, the European Digital UniverCity program, and specifically EDUC 2, is based on a European alliance of 8 universities from 7 European countries: Germany, France, Italy, Hungary, Czech Republic, Norway, and Spain, labeled European University. These full partners, all represented here today, are the University of Potsdam in Germany, the University of Rennes 1 and Paris-Nanterre in France, the University of Masaryk in Brno, Czech Republic, the University of Pécs in Hungary, the University Jaume I in Castellón, Spain, the Southeast Norway University in Norway, and the University of Cagliari, of course, in Italy. This alliance has been established since the very beginning for promoting common European values and strengthening European identity by educating a new generation of Europeans able to work together across borders, cultures, and languages, and at the same time for increasing the quality and competitiveness of the consistent European education area and thus of the research and innovation landscape in Europe to meet current global challenges. So I'm very glad and happy to coordinate today this joint event, which will have as its objective the presentation of the activities carried out by the Alliance to involve young people. The event will be divided into 4 sessions that will have as central topics, first of all, the role of the EDUC Student Board with the participation of the former and current president, who will share experiences and results obtained. Among them, in particular, the creation of the EDUC Think Lab will be illustrated, and it's a virtual laboratory that involves male and female students to implement new learning methods in the academic field. The second session will be dedicated to the presentation of the Young Integration Lab, YIL, which involves young people aged 16 to 32 in practical activities and reflections on social issues such as gender discrimination, disability, and urban participation in order to develop skills and knowledge. And the purpose of the YIL is to promote youth empowerment, stimulating the creation of concrete solutions to address social challenges in a multilingual and inclusive context. A comparative roundtable will follow, that is, a comparison between the experiences of other European university alliances to highlight best practices and different approaches in youth empowerment practices. And the fourth session, the last session, will be dedicated to the presentation of European policies and initiatives for youth empowerment. Then, an analysis of the opportunities offered and provided by European policies for young people, with particular attention to the initiatives of university alliances, thanks to the intervention of the policy officer of the Directorate General for Education, Youth, Sport and Culture at the European Commission. There will also be a specific space for an open discussion with all participants, with a collection of questions and answers, and finally a part dedicated to the discussion of the issues that emerged during the event, and some closing remarks to take home. Please, I'd like to ask all participants to fill out the participation form by clicking on the link you find in the chat, so that we can send you the certificate of attendance after the event. So I don't want to waste any more time, and I immediately open the first session entitled The EDUC Student Board Structure and Impact, giving the floor to Hikmet Güler from the University of Potsdam, who is the former chair of the student board, and to Damir Solak from Masaryk University, who is the current chair of the student board. Please, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the occasion, and thank you very much for the handover, Esther. And yeah, this is Hikmet Güler from University of Potsdam. I'm the former chair of our student board, and I'm very happy to be here. And yeah, today we will talk a bit about our student board and the history of our student board, and also our alliance, and the current version of our student board as well. As the former chair, I can, of course, speak a bit about the development of the student board. And since we also have our current chair, Damir, here, he can also talk about how we operate today. Yeah, please, we can go to the next slide. So, yeah, Esther already gave some facts and figures, and yeah, we are quite a large alliance, I would say. And from the student side, we are covering more than 200,000 students. And of course, part of this responsibility also lies at the student board, especially with the engagements and making the activities of EDUC much more closer to the students. And yeah, of course, this needs a structure. And yeah, this has been, let's say, based on the student board in a way, because we first need to set up a structure before we are able to engage. And yeah, this, I would say, would be our first yeah, step. But we can go to the next step, the next slide. Yeah. So yeah, as Esther already mentioned, we are an alliance of 8 universities. And yeah, this also means that we have 8 different university structures, and this, of course, goes for the whole alliance in a way. This is kind of like a challenge for all alliances. Anyone who's involved with alliances at a bit of a structural level also knows this, that the integration within alliances is also based on the structures themselves. And of course, this also goes for the student side. And for us, this means that we need to engage different stakeholders, and the different stakeholders also have different relationships between themselves. Just like as maybe a small, let's say, comparison could be for the presidents, for example. Some universities have student presidents and some universities don't have student presidents. Or we can think about the student boards, or the student parliaments, or the student associations, and these are all different between countries. For Germany, for example, right now we just in our state in Germany, in the Brandenburg state, there was just a law that was passed regarding student presidents or vice presidents, but this is still not enacted. But in Norway or in Spain, this is already quite active, and yeah, we have our student board members coming from these positions. And at other places like France, the student associations might be very multifaceted, which means that you have to engage with several different stakeholders, or the relationship between the student associations or the students themselves and the administration could be also different, where you can have maybe some more hierarchy, which may not be the case in other contexts, which means that we have to adapt and understand these contexts in order to create a student board that speaks to everyone and works with all different parts. But at the end of the day, yeah, we have a strong partnership among 8 universities across Europe. We can go to the next slide. So this is a small chart of the general governance of EDUC. I just want to highlight here the position of the student board. And within the EDUC cosmos, the EDUC student board actually is quite connected, either directly or indirectly, to all of the parts of EDUC. Are we still seeing the slides? Because I don't see the slides. So yeah, I mean, coming back to our topic. So we were talking about the EDUC student board and where it exists. So basically, the EDUC student board exists within the EDUC cosmos, and we're connected to different aspects of EDUC. To not take it too long, but yeah, right now we work with the local, especially local teams. So the EDUC Alliance, local project managers, community managers, and etc. We work as student board members. We have good connection with them. And then when we look at the project level, when we talk about the task groups and etc., the EDUC student board members are sometimes invited, or they can also join task groups, and based on their interest. So if someone is interested, for example, in education policy, they can join that aspect. If someone's interested in creating, let's say, a language course and etc., they may also be able to do that. Okay, yeah, we have our slides back. Or yeah, and then we are of course also part of the steering committee. So we have 2 votes at the steering committee, and yeah, we as the EDUC student board, we are able to also voice our yay or nay at the steering committee, and of course also bring our comments to that. And most of this communication, I would say, is formal, but there's also informal communication, and this, I would say, is synergy. And yeah, that of course comes from the character of the lines in a way. But yeah, all of this communication kind of brings us to a place where we are, we're quite present, and also, let's say, pragmatically available as well when it works for either sides. Yeah, we can go to the next slide. And yeah, I would also like to tell a few more boring stuff. And yeah, as you can see here, this is how we exist, let's say, officially within the EDUC charter. Basically, the EDUC charter says, well, it is already mentioned in the EDUC charter, which is, let's say, the funding document, the founding document of EDUC project. The student board already exists there. And and many of the details are already defined, so we have a legal basis within the for our founding. And here our, let's say, goals are very much kind of, you know, where we came with our activities. It includes consultation, providing consultation, being part of the steering committee, being part of joining the project managers and task group members, and etc. In certain capacities. And right now, of course, Damir will say much more about it, but right now our focus is especially on kind of being more active to bring EDUC locally to our students. As I said in the beginning, we are representing 200,000 students here, and and this is a responsibility, and at the same time an opportunity to multiply what EDUC does and is able to do for our students. Just very shortly about our history, because today we will also discuss with our other student boards here, which is a very, very, very nice occasion. One of the things that we really needed to define, I already kind of hinted at it in the beginning, but basically, for us, the biggest challenge was to kind of understand, okay, how do these 8 universities come together? How can they work together? And at the end of the day, how can we define our, let's say, a democratic basis for representation, but at the same time, which can work with all these different structures. And this was, a very difficult question in the beginning, but then it had a simple answer, which was, okay, we need to, leave this aspect of election and nomination a bit to the student, a bit to the universities. But at the same time, we have to define the values behind it, and we really defined and are very set on the democratic aspect of it. And for this, this for us means that it has to include some kind of nomination with the involvement of an elected body at the university, and elected by the university by the university student body. So because in certain occasions, again, we might have university student presidents, or we might have direct elections for certain positions in certain university contexts. But in some, we do not have this, or there's perhaps no, let's say, sense to do this. For example, if there's, let's say, a 5% turnout for general elections, you can't really think that there would be, let's say, a sufficient turnout for a position that you would be running an election for. So for that reason, we kind of defined a more flexible, but at the same time very based approach for the student representations. And at the same time, of course, we are very, very, let's say, well connected to the university administrations. Yeah, going up until the rectors and vice rectors, and yeah, we are able to call and yeah, invite for meetings and etc., so that we can discuss these things that are kind of important for us and also, of course, important for them. But to be at the same page and yeah, to hopefully develop yeah, to have full representation from all universities. But I would like to leave it here and leave it to Damir, our current chair, to talk about what we're doing today. I guess it's more interesting. Thank you.
Yes. So good morning from my side as well. Now I will continue with the more practical aspects of functioning of the student board. Here you can see that student board is formed by student representatives from each of the each university that is in EDUC Alliance, and they can send from 1 to 3 student representatives per higher education institution. The 3 is a maximum, but it is rarely filled. Usually they send always 2 representatives, and the third one works like a substitute. Usually it's a new person getting to know the functioning of the student board, and every university in EDUC student board has 2 votes, and they as a student board then elect governing board that contains 5 people that I'll comment on more on the next slide. So at the moment, the structure of the governing board is as follows. We have chairman, vice chair, HR officer, communication officer, and secretary. I think be honest and also say the things that are not working as we wish, because we want to hear to exchange our experience, and we are lacking the active involvement from all partner universities, and that's why we were not able to fill in the first round of elections all 5 positions. So we are now trying to find new possible candidates for the 2 remaining positions. But the most crucial role is, of course, the role of chairman and vice chair. They represent the student board within EDUC's bodies, but also outside, for example, at the ESU Conference of Alliances, and we were one of the first alliances that met all the criteria of European Students' Union to be able to be the part of the ESUS Conference of Alliances. There's especially the democratic procedures of elections of the members of the student board and of the governing board. We have also the role of a secretary that does the administrative stuff, HR officer that is co-responsible for onboarding of new student board members, because we are all students, so that means that we are changing more frequently in our roles, and also the HR officer is responsible for coordination of the activities in particular task groups, because we offer always new members a possibility to become part of usually 2 task groups. And we also want to focus on PR and presentation of EDUC more. That's why we created a position of communication officer that is helping and communicating with the PR team of EDUC and PR teams of each universities, in order to get to know EDUC to all ordinary students ideally. We can move to the next slide. And here is some short overview where which meetings we attend. So there are steering committee meetings where we have a voice and we have a possibility to vote, and 2 physical steering committee meetings per year are also connected with the physical meetings of the student board. Then we also attend meetings with project managers that meet regularly once a month. Task level involvement is always up to the particular task group. Some of them meet more often, some of them they do remote work. And also we have meetings with project managers twice per semester, only focus on student involvement. And then on the level of higher education institutions, there could be some separate meeting of the university staff. I here put a name EDUC Cafe because that's the name of the meeting at Maastricht University, where always the EDUC staff, EDUC student representatives, the management of the universities of the university meet, and we exchange the experiences and also inform each other about news in our areas that we work on. We can now continue. And that's all from us in this presentation. Thank you for your attention, and we are happy to answer questions if there are any.
Thanks a lot for your very, very interesting contribution. Now we have a complete picture, a clear overview of how this youth engagement system works in our universities and in the EDUC network is functioning. It's very, very useful in this challenging aspiration to have a more democratic way for representing 200,000 students, as you said, and that's a big responsibility for sure. And now I'll give the floor to Ulrike Schmidt, project manager at the University of Potsdam, who will talk to us about the creation of the EDUC Think Lab for students and therefore about the opportunity of engagement in the virtual campus. Please, Ulrike, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Esther, and also thanks to the colleagues in Cagliari for inviting me to present this format to you. My name is Ulrike Schmidt, and as Esther said, I'm a project manager in the EDUC Alliance. I'm based at the University of Potsdam, and I would like to introduce to you the EDUC Think Lab as a format for student engagement. And in this brief presentation, I would like to share with you why EDUC started the Think Lab, how the format places students at the very heart of digitalization in our alliance, and why student involvement matters so much. A primary goal of EDUC is to create an inclusive European higher education and research area where students, researchers, teaching staff, and administrative employees can learn, teach, and collaborate together effectively. And to achieve this, EDUC is creating a virtual campus, and the virtual campus is a shared digital infrastructure that facilitates networking and collaborative learning between our partner universities. The virtual campus is a platform that consists of several components and several services, and in part they're already existing and well established and being in use, and in part they're still under construction and in development. Next slide, please. The Alliance has over 200,000 students, as you already saw in Hickman's presentation, 14,500 teachers, researchers, 17,500 administrative staff. And what you can see is that students are clearly the biggest stakeholder group of our Alliance, and as such, also the biggest user group of the virtual campus. Next slide, please. And so instead of creating the campus for the students, we want to create the campus with the students and include their needs and their ideas early on to answer the question, what kind of environment do students need to learn and thrive in an international digital academic setting? At the same time, our universities face the challenge of hiring IT staff and to provide the capacities to build that campus. And this is where we see an opportunity to include students with their expertise and everything also they learn in their studies to work on a real-life challenge alongside their studies. And thirdly, the ThinkLab program gives us the opportunity to test raising funds for initiatives like this on a European level, because the students that are participating in the ThinkLab, they are equipped with either a scholarship or a part-time work contract to facilitate their participation in the program. Next slide, please. So how does it work exactly? The EDUC ThinkLab is a format that we scaled up from a format that the University of Potsdam already has experience with. In Potsdam, the ThinkLabs are a format where researchers work together with students on a research question, at the EDUC ThinkLab, we're taking this format to a European level, and we bring together students together with staff from our universities to work not on a research question, but on a hands-on challenge. The ThinkLab program takes place over 2 semesters, but since our semesters between our universities are so different, the most active period stretches over about 8 months. And in this first year's ThinkLab program, 9 students are involved, and they collaborate together with 5 employees from within the EDUC Alliance. The employees are IT experts and digital learning experts, or as we call them in EDUC, pedagogical engineers. And they suggested some concrete projects to work on the virtual campus that are derived from the work in the virtual campus expert group. And it's sort of that they identified some construction sites that they need concrete help with. And next slide, please. And here we see the 3 topics that in this first edition the groups are working on. One group is looking at user experience, user interface design, and accessibility, and especially barrier-free access to our digital tools. A second group is programming chatbots to help everyone find the best digital learning opportunities. And a third group is working on target group engagement on our social platform Open Up. Next slide. We recently met for the kickoff workshop in Potsdam, and that was focused on getting to know each other, finding the best match between the students and those 3 topics, and then within those 3 groups really defining what they actually want to tackle and what their collaboration mode is. But also we didn't want to let it come short, that everyone needs some inspiration that helps them to think creatively about the future and the campus. Next slide. So this is sort of our rough program schedule for this year. Now after the kickoff, the groups work digitally and remotely, and they will meet all together for a first online progress meeting in end of January and work in their 3 groups separately until then. We have a half-time in-person meeting planned in early March, and we wish to organize a final presentation for the whole Alliance in summer next year to share the concrete results, the progress, ideas, and impulses that the students developed with staff and share it with the Alliance and a wider university audience. Yeah, next and final slide. So why does student involvement matter so much? To summarize what this program achieves, I'd like to highlight the benefits we see for the participating students, but also from the perspective of the Alliance. It creates an empowerment for the students to co-create a central digital infrastructure of the Alliance, and they develop a solution to a concrete challenge of their university, which helps them to use their professional expertise, but also their personal experience and point of view as a student. They become part of a community that has a shared goal, and it gives them the opportunity for international collaboration, to grow their network, and to get language practice. And of course, participating in such programs is always a great reference also with like practical experience for the CV. From the point of view of our alliance, with no doubt, there are many benefits because it offers the active and creative participation of our biggest stakeholder group and gives us a clearer understanding of the needs of students directly from them. It is both a creative space for ideas, but also directly the implementation, so they're not left on the table. Also, it gives us an opportunity to test our collaborative tools, as the 3 ThinkLab groups are using our collaborative environment, which is currently in development and in testing, to work together, to communicate, to share files, etc. And of course, and this is something that also the student board already mentioned, they again can act as multipliers of the virtual campus and the Alliance offers into their universities, into their circles, and also gives us, of course, great opportunity to share on social media and to draw attention to the virtual campus and the Alliance offers again. Next slide. With that, I thank you, and here you find my email address. Please reach out if you have any questions, or you're maybe organizing a similar format and are interested in an exchange or have some recommendations for us. That would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, very lot to Ulrike for your very, very useful contribution, and then for this inspirational key rule, nothing about students without students. That is at the very core of the youth engagement and empowerment within the EDUC Alliance, starting from the virtual campus, not only for the students, but with the students again. And thanks also for highlighting so clearly the benefits for students and for the Alliance as a community. It's very, very catchy and convincing for future potential participants in a positive way. So thank you very much. And now we can open the second session of this event, which will introduce us to the Youth Integration Lab, YIL, as a format for youth involvement in EDUC. Katharina Kloss, project manager at the University of Potsdam, and Anna Rurka, head of the Department of Education Sciences at the University of Paris-Nanterre, will discuss it, followed by Manon Tauschi, student at the University of Paris-Nanterre, Judith Rode and Nancy Wagner, respectively summer school manager and EDUC support manager at the University of Potsdam, and Akash Barman, student at the Masaryk University. So, please, the floor is yours, starting from Katharina Kloss.
Thank you so much, Esther, for introducing all of us. You see, we are a big group talking about the Youth Integration Lab, one of our programs for empowering youth, which have become very concrete because we had 2 editions taking place already. I'm based at the University of Potsdam as well. As you said, I'm a project manager there and really happy to introduce the Youth Integration Lab to you. And the next slide, please. So in a nutshell, we worked very much on defining what the Youth Integration Lab actually is and agreed on this. Each YIL is a space formed by 8 universities connected with their territory, something that's crucial to us in EDUC, implementing activities for the meeting and exchange between young people to help them to develop their critical thinking and become active citizens on current challenges and armed against discrimination. So this is, in a nutshell, what we agreed on for all events. And now in the next slide, we will look further into what our goals then actually are and what we aim to do with this program. And we wish really to empower young people to become active citizens, make them aware of discrimination of any kind. You will see very different themes in these different youth integration labs, and provide them, and also all of us participating, with tools to actively fight discrimination and to face the societal challenges. And we know that there is a manifold of today. And the next slide, please. Here we will see what we focus on concretely, a manifold of topics. We started last April in Paris-Nanterre with disability and gender discrimination. And then just recently in October, we had the pleasure of hosting a youth integration lab in Potsdam on participation in urban diversity in modern cities. So there were a lot of excursions. You will hear about them in a second. And what's to come is the next edition on active citizenship in underprivileged groups in Page. And then in Cagliari, empowering youth through education. In spring in 2026, we'll move to Jaume in Spain with diversity and disability and gender inequalities. And then in autumn 2026, we have an intriguing title of How Artificial Are We in Brno? And maybe then in the next EDUC event, you will discover what that looked like or will look like. And with that, we will focus now on the pink ones, because these are the ones that actually took place already. And I'm handing over to my colleagues who will then move into the Paris Nanterre edition.
Thanks a lot. So, Anna, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Could you project the PowerPoint or? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. So my name is Anna, and I'm the head of the Department of Science of Education, and also the person who is who collaborate with EDUC program on this lab. So when we designed the workshop of the Youth Integration Lab, which happened in Nanterre, we really we will align them with the label that the Paris Nanterre University is run today. We can go to another slide, please. So we have a label, what we call Science with and for Society. It's for European Union, it's not new because it's like the policy that each university should implement, but we started 2 years ago. And in this framework, we implement the project Science in Cité, Science in Cité in French. And this project is structured around 3 axes. Please go to another slide. Let's go further for the diaporama. So the 3 axes are observing, meeting, and sharing. Observing, it means how we observe what happened in university in terms of research and research project. Meeting acts, it's more about the dissemination of the knowledge and how the non-academic audience also understand and can can use the result from the research. And after then, the third axis is about sharing. And it's more about the co-construction of the knowledge, participatory action research, and how we can strengthening the voice of the young people through the participatory action research, etc. So we take this matrix of the project, and after when we design 3 workshops. So please go to another slide, another diapo. So here we have a 3 workshop which we implement during the Youth Integration Labs. Firstly, the workshop about observing, and here we identify different objective. What with main task, we ask the participants in this workshop to identify 5 research teams working on disability or gender discrimination in the home university. The workshop that we had also about this meeting, so this was also a specific task for the participants. It's about how they can design a science outreach workshop on the disability on gender discrimination issue, specifically addressed to non-academic audience and different age and profile. And the third workshop, it was about sharing. And here we ask the participants to formulate the problem situation with non-academic groups. So it was like the simulation workshop. and also to design the process of co-construction of the action research as on the specific problem related to disabilities or gender discrimination. So it was like our main ideas about the workshop, and I will give the floor to my colleagues who led one of the workshop, that she can also give the feedback about how it was received by participants and what happens in the workshop. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Anna. And now the floor is yours, Manon.
Hello everyone. I will talk to you about the workshop sharing because we was divided in different groups, as Anna said, and I was responsible of the creation of the workshop sharing with two other women. I am a PhD student, so creating this workshop was also a part of my formation. It gave me ECTS credit, but actually it was also a very fun experience, and I share with people from different university of the EDUC. So it was very cool also because I speak English during 3 days. But the workshop was about kind of role-played game, and each person had a role, because the situation was we would like to change the management of the library in the university, and it was kind of action research to know how we can do it for people with disability, to be more included in the library. So each participant had a role. Here you can see the role we created. So there was a representative of the university administration. There was a representative of a national specialized association about disability, a librarian, two researchers, and each of them had a different point of view, because one of them said we need to include students with disability in the library, so make the library more inclusive. And the other one said, yes, but we can also create a software so students with disability can use resources from the library from home. And finally, there was a representative of a local student collective. There were more participants than roles, so different participants took the same role. It wasn't a problem because in a collective of students there is different students, etc. And I can show you the plan of the library because the simulation was complete. And on the left, it is the current library, and on the right, it is the redevelopment project. And then participants exchange and share, and they decided what can be changed or what can be a good idea in the redevelopment project. And each of them needed to keep the position of the role, even if they didn't agree about it. It was not the problem. And finally, the result was the next slide. Yeah. So finally, they kept the old one from the current library with some modification, and the hall 2 is the second floor of the library. with some modifications, and they add things that we didn't imagine during the creation of the workshop, like a nap room, because we try to do some sensibilization. I don't know if the word is good in English, but to explain to them that disability is not only about I don't know, of motor disabilities or visual impairment. And for example, for autism, it could be a good idea to have a quiet room and a nap room. And we explained to them also that we develop a library for people with disability is not only for these people, but also for everyone, because even if you don't have disability, you can need to have a nap, or you can need to stay in a quiet room. Because I am also a member of association of students with disability, and there were some participants with disability. So it was a workshop for a lot of things, and not only for role-playing game. And in the end, we share about how the workshop took place, and what were the issues, what were the problem, what were the good ideas that came, and we imagine how could be the best way to do this kind of discussion between different participants. So we did a checklist of recommendations if in a true situation, different people with this role, so librarian, researcher, etc., had a true workshop for this kind of project. And we discussed also about the role of researcher in this kind of project, and why it was useful or not. And I think it was a good way, because it was also fun and a good way to share and to create a link with different students from all the EDUC net. So don't hesitate to ask me questions about it. But it was a very good experience, and I thank everyone about this project.
Thanks. Thanks very lot. And now let's move from the University of Paris-Nanterre to the University of Potsdam. So the floor is yours, Judith, Nancy, and Akash.
Yes, hello, and thank you very much. My name is Judith Rode. I'm at the University of Potsdam and mainly responsible for realizing different kinds of student mobilities within EDUC in short formats, so such like summer schools or our Youth Integration Lab. And as already mentioned, the second edition of the Youth Integration Lab took place in Potsdam in October on the topic of participation and urban diversity in modern cities. And with this event, we wanted to invite young people to reflect on the importance of youth and subculture in cities, and how subcultures and urban diversity are challenged or even threatened by decreasing open spaces due to gentrification, but also due to the urban planning by decision makers who often do not consider needs of youth and young people in cities. And the consequence of this for youth is, of course, to have fewer spaces, to meet each other and to create social spaces, and to be active citizens, actually. But this process has also consequences for the city itself, because a vibrant youth or subculture is very crucial for the attractiveness of cities and the innovation of cities. And yeah, so we hope that during the event, participants have gained an understanding of the importance of youth culture in modern cities, on processes of urban transformation, and that they have learned about possibilities of participation in urban planning. And specifically, we started on the first day with some introductory lectures on the topic of the importance of youth and subcultures in cities, with lectures from the University of Potsdam. And on the second day, we were on the move in Potsdam. So Potsdam students prepared city walks to different places in Potsdam who experienced a strong urban transformation, and the participants could discover these places and discuss the observations. And on the third day, we opened the topic to the European level with some best practices of youth and neighborhood involvement in city planning. So in conclusion, we hoped that we could empower the young people to become active citizens and to be also aware of the importance of their influence on urban planning. Yes, and to see if we were successful, actually I hand over now to Nancy Wegner and Akash for the students' feedback to our event. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Judith. Yes, I'm Nancy Wegner, and I'm the support manager of the EDUC team at the University of Potsdam. And I would like to give a short summary of the feedback that we received on the program. For that, we used the real-time feedback tool Mentimeter for the participating EDUC students. And yeah, we were happy that there was an overall high satisfaction with the lab. All of the participants said they would recommend the program to other students, which of course was great to hear for all of us. The question of the main motivation of the students, they answered that of course their main motivation was to learn more about the topics of urban diversity and how to participate in cities. But of course, also a big point was to meet other European peers. And yes, it was very interesting for us that there was also the wish to have even more discussions and to have even more room for creating. So yeah, we thought that it might make sense in the future to expand the program, maybe for other formats like summer schools. And yeah, to discuss it even more deeply. So yeah, this youth integration lab could be or was the beginning of a bigger discussion, of course. And I also would like to highlight certain points and quotes that we got from the students. Yeah, you see one on the slide that of course youth can really have an impact on the diversity in urbanism, and that they have to be implicated in the process. So we had the feeling that the program gave hope to the students, and that this empowered them also. And they also realized how big small ideas can be, and how they can impact their own cities, which we think was very important, of course. And another point, like I already mentioned, was how important it is to meet other people from other countries and to see and learn other perspectives. And yes, I think that was great feedback and also very helpful for us to hear for other formats. And with that said, I would give the floor to Akash, a student from the University of Masaryk, who actually participated in the program and will share his views on the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy, for the introduction. So I'm Akash from Masaryk University, and I had an opportunity to attend the event. So on the first day of the workshop, we had 3 wonderful lectures, and they were very, like, I'm a student of political science. I study conflict studies. So for me, the lectures was very highly relevant and thought-provoking, and they focus on like how important youth subcultures are, and throughout the history, how they have changed the transformation of the cities. But they also mention now how in the modern city nowadays that how the youth discussion has been kind of overlooked in the urban planning space. So they also give us like how to think about this, like how to think critically about this systematic issue. And on the same note, on the third day, the lecturers from the Dramin, they talk about how they are in their city, how they are doing a study where they focus on how kindergarten use the urban space and how their city is like engaging with the youth and how they are transforming and are planning their city. So on these lectures, like one lectures focuses what kind of discrimination like youth spaces face or youth face in the urban planning, and on the third day we discuss about what are the tools and what are the like future opportunity or how there are ways that we can close this discrimination. So which was very insightful and really interesting. On the second day, we had the city walk, which was organized by some of the students of University of Potsdam. And in this activity, we went to two spaces around the city, and we talk about how we discuss idea on they take us to a place and on a building, and we discuss like how this is very inclusive design. Like, is this the community is accessible, like enough accessibility to people with disability or elder people? And second activity, we were given a role of different age of group. Like, imagine if you are elderly people, how would build your community? Like, what do you need from this community or from the urban planning? So overall, the activity was fun. So in the feedback, I would say this one overall, there was a really good balance between activities and the lecture. So we had a chance to learn theory and to see how we can like implement those in the real life scenario. So yeah, as Nancy said, we like all of the students participate. We wanted to discuss more, and we like to have this kind of workshop more because it's really helpful to us to understand what discrimination we face or like how we can be actively involved in the decision making and what are the tools or how we can do it. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your insightful contributions, especially for the very pragmatic suggestions and recommendations taken from your previous experiences that can be very useful for the creation and organization of new events related to the Young Integration Lab. I found very effective in your speeches the combination of different points of views, the students' point of view and the teachers' and managers' perspective, and the comparison between different universities in different national contexts, like Paris Nanterre and the University of Potsdam, with their similarities but also specificities. And we can now move on to the third session, which consists of a roundtable that will compare some inspiring experiences from other alliances. So, in particular, Ryan Wakamiya and Eddie Arriaga Flores, who are respectively Learner Engagement Coordinator and Board Member and President of the Student Council at the ECIU, I don't know if this is the correct pronunciation, University Alliance, and they will share their experiences. They will be followed by Zakaria Saif, student officer for the 4DEM Alliance, and Sacha Green, who is student committee chair of the 4EU Plus Alliance. Please, Ryan and Eddie, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Esther. That was a very kind intro. Yeah, so I'm gonna start here with Eddie just to speak a little bit about our student council and the student ambassadors and how we are organized and structured. So we already had the EDUC explain their structure, and we want to just explain a little bit about how ours is. We have two main links for two main student groups, as we say here, student council and student ambassadors. They're still very new. We've been organizing this in the past year and a half or two, so it's all very from the ground up. I'll give a quick background about ECIU University and then hand it over to Eddie for the presentation. But ECIU University has been an alliance that's been around actually since 1997, so it's been around for 27 years now. And we were one of the first 19 or 17 alliances that applied for the first call because we were already an alliance, we're already connected, and we're already ready to kind of run fast. So we went all in with this and like, hey, we want to scale up this consortium, this alliance, and let's do it now. We have a chance. So to do that, we went forward and we went with the first project phase of Erasmus, now into the second one. But there wasn't really a really stable, concrete student body or governance or organization. So in the second phase, we decided this is super important. We need to have this. We see other alliances doing it. Let's do it. And so Eddie, who will speak next, was a huge part of that. He's been involved and is obviously now the Student Council president, and he can describe a little bit about the details. So thank you. And Eddie, are you ready or?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
So we can go to the next slide. So obviously this is all of our alliance groups, and then this is more of the details.
So we have, like we said, we had 14 universities taking part of ECAU, 12 members, full members, and 2 associate members. Under students, we decided to not differentiate in between associate members and full members, but mostly the student council is made up from the student unions of each of these specific full members. So thankfully we have an alliance where every university has a student union. I know there are some, for example, in France where it's quite difficult and there's not really a structure that parallels the student unions in other universities, but thankfully we had that and we were good to go. So the student council is composed of 1 member per university, and our job is to, for example, to delegate people to the vice presidents of education, to support student projects that the student ambassadors do, to select the board members, the student board members who will be representing students at the highest level, and mostly to be part of institutional steering groups in order to also push through changes that need to be done through the different universities. For example, there are some very engaged students as student ambassadors, but they don't necessarily know how to navigate the sometimes very complex political landscapes of the universities. For example, to get credits recognition or how mobility budgets work. So for this, student council members who are elected student representatives at their own university are the ones who are responsible for such changes. And then we have the student ambassadors, who are basically the students who joined an ECAU university activity at some point during their studies. And they liked it so much that they decided, oh, I want other people to be able to profit from this as well. And now we have 2 ambassadors per university. There are 2 lead ambassadors per university, but some other universities have a lot more. For example, we have in Poland or in Lithuania, there are very big groups of people very interested in participating and making this experience also available to other students from their university. They're also a bit more involved hands-on on several projects. For example, there are people working on how to make a logo for students, or there are other people working on user experience. How do we make the platform, the digital campus that we have, how do we make it more student-friendly? That's mostly how we are currently structured. And since both groups are quite new, there's not that much overlap, and we're working towards bridging or building that bridge to have both groups work with each other more fluently and more efficiently. Next. So like I said, the ECAU Student Council elects the 2 student board members and appoints the student education representative we have a group of vice presidents of education. I think most university alliances have that as well. We thankfully have the budget for the alliance to meet 1 time physically every year, but we meet for 3 other times throughout the year. This year we met twice actually, because there was so much work to be done in order to actually get this up and running that there's some discussions that you simply cannot have without being face to face with other people. So thankfully the Alliance has been very supportive of that. They really want to incorporate students into how the project is being developed going further. And mostly we decided to have the student council link up right before the board meetings so we can have the best input to actually give to present not only the perspective of the 2 people who were selected to the board, but also from all students of all the universities. And now the difficult part is, aside from these big physical meetings, to actually get people involved at the local level, to work with the local offices or with the institutional coordinators, as we call them, and have these 2, like the institutional coordinators, so staff basically, and the student unions working together towards a common goal. Like I said, for example, mobility budgets or credit recognition. Then we have the student ambassadors again. At an average of currently 4 students per ECAU member university, for example, at my university, Hamburg University of Technology, we currently have 5. And then we have Tampere University, which currently only has 1, not because there's no interest, but mostly because the staff selects these ambassadors, so they have different requirements of how they select these ambassadors. And mostly it's to support also promotion in local activities, communication, collaborate online. We are currently discussing how it is best that we can have a common space with each other, how it is more efficient that we communicate online. Obviously, we'll look forward together to working together face to face. We just met in Strasbourg last week to discuss and kick off a lot of our projects that we're going to be working on for the next year. Also how to work asynchronously from different places in Europe or even the world. We also support all staff with their endeavors and how they want to engage with ECAU within their local universities. And then also be a representative from the Alliance towards students of their own member communities. So there you see me right in the middle with a Britney Spears t-shirt on. But that's the big group of student ambassadors that we had last year, and this year is only bigger and growing. So I'm really excited to keep working with all of these students.
Thanks a very lot. Now it's your turn, Zakaria Saif, for telling us about For Them Alliance. You have 5 minutes and the floor is yours.
Thank you a lot. I'll just wait for my presentation and tell you that it's been a wonderful conference so long, and I hope to tell you about the For Them Alliance. So the For Them Alliance was also part of the first call, and it was in the beginning 7 universities, and in the second call it became 9 universities in the Alliance. If we can go next, so the numbers can show up on the screen. We are 9 universities, like mentioned, and we have yes, very good. You can take a look at them. It's Agder, Norway. This is where I work, and my job is to be the student officer for the whole Alliance for online universities and be the secretary for the student council. Next, please. So as you see, we have around 230,000 students, 19,000 academics, on average 2 campuses per university, 18 campuses, and 200 doctoral programs. Next, please. This is a look at the structure of the For Them Alliance. The Student Council, you can see it on the top right where the arrow comes from the student officer. So the Student Council is also represented in almost every part of this structure. So students sit in the presidency, students sit in the coordination, the steering committee, and me as a student officer, I also sit in the general secretariat. The students also are represented in each of the 5 mission boards, which are the middle management level. So I think that is something quite specific with the For Them Alliance, that there's an increased focus on putting 50% capacity of as a secretary for the student council, but also having the students spread out and they go and sit in all the different boards and then come back to meet at the main meeting of the student council. Next, please. Here you see a picture of us when we were in one of our recent conferences in the University of Latvia. We have the funding for 2 physical conferences per year, and we have been doing so. In addition to that, we meet online. In the early days, in the first year of the Alliance, we didn't meet very regularly until there's something on the agenda. So I don't like to invite students when there's not much to discuss. But in the second year of the funding period now, like in 2020, I was gonna call it 2024, it's been more regular meetings, it's been more formalized. We have been making statutes and procedures that are much more formalized and institutionalizing the student council. There's 2 members from each university, like many other alliances we've been speaking to. And we have some budget that's only a travel budget, sadly. It's we're lucky to have some travel budget that's relatively generous, but we cannot use it very flexibly. It's travel stipends. When it comes to recruitment, we are continuously talking about incentives and motivation. Why should students be part of the Alliance and take the time to go to those meetings? What are they getting back? They have to get something back for this. And that could either be decision-making power, or it could be economical or other incentives such as ECTS. That is a discussion we're still doing. And like many other topics, there's no one solution that fits all because of the different practices and cultures. We can go next, please, because we have 1 minute left approximately now. These are some pictures. If we go next to get some text up there, so we can, here we will be talking about summer schools and short-term mobilities and European integration schools. There's a lot of different names for the concept of students coming from all the universities for 1 week, where they attend a course or they work on a workshop. And those have been the most interesting, most popular activities for the Alliance, because the Alliance does a lot in the back end when it comes to libraries and cards and access, but this is the front end of what the students can participate in. Next, please. Democracy Week is also, I will finish with that, it's one of our main student-driven yearly events that happen in all the campuses, and it's where students get the chance to stand and hold a presentation, make an activity, and promote democracy and human rights with the support of this administration and some funding. Next, please. These are some pictures from Democracy Week that was student-driven, student-led, and it's students holding the events, and they are almost doing everything from A to Z, except the bureaucratic parts, where I also am responsible for as a secretary. So that was my 5 minutes. Thank you. I hope that the future of higher education in Europe will be influenced by the students and their wishes and their impulses to how they would like the universities to be organized.
Thanks a lot, Zakaria, or Zakaria, I don't know which pronunciation is Zakaria, okay. And last but not least, we have now Sasha Green for who is student committee chair of the 4EU Plus Alliance. So Sasha, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Esther, for the introduction. So my name is Sasha Green, and I'm the chair of the student committee of the 4EU Plus Alliance, and I'm currently a student in the Masters of European Affairs at Sorbonne University in Paris. And I'm going to present the way student representation is organized in the Alliance and some challenges that we face in our work as students involved in 4EU Plus. So 4EU Plus was created in 2019 in the first call for the university alliances by the European Commission. We have 8 partners in 7 different countries. We have the specificity of having 2 universities in the same city, which is quite unusual. And our main goal is to build one comprehensive, research-intensive European UniverCity by basing our work on 4 different flagships that are Europeanness, environment, digitization, and the last one, it's on the next slide, urban health and demographic change. So we have around 300,000 students, well, a little bit more, around 60,000 staff, and one legal entity that is now based in Brussels in Belgium. So the main, well, can you go to the next, please? Well, the main vision is, as I said, to create one comprehensive research university through, well, research, and our values are academic and research freedoms, students at the center. You'll see after that students are, well, there are a lot of students involved in 4E+. Also research excellence, because we are 8, well, quite big and quite old university. So we have well, we're thankful enough to have the resources to pursue excellence and really good research, but also creativity and internalization, which is at the core, I think, of every European university. So now about the student bodies in the Alliance. It's on the next slide. So we have 3 different bodies where students are engaged. The first one is the Academic Council, that's composed of 48 members, and among them 16 are students, which is 2 students from each university. So it's 1 student and 1 PhD student, because we're really keen and we really want to integrate PhD students as much as possible, because they face different challenges from other students. The Academic Council is the advisory and consultative body to the governing board and gives out the main, well, strategy, opinions, and guidance for the steering of the Alliance. Then we have the Student Committee, which is the biggest student body in 4E+, of which I'm the chair. So it's composed of 24 members, 3 students for each university, and this has to respect a division, 1 for bachelor's, 1 for master's, and 1 for PhD, because we really want each student body to be equally represented, so their voice can be heard inside the Alliance. So it's the representative body for the student community across all universities, and we give opinion and we help co-creating, for example, joint degrees or strategy papers, or we give some feedback on the important projects, as we'll see after. But we also have a role in our home university to work closely with our local offices in order to promote the Alliance and to help them, well, set up the strategy on the local level for the universities. And finally, since 2023, we introduced a new body in the Alliance, which are the student ambassadors. So for now, we have 17 students that are ambassadors throughout the 8 universities, with 3 main goals: to foster student interaction, to boost student-centered communication, and to build a strong 4E+ student community, which is also really important to connect our students and to make them feel that they belong to the 4E+ Alliance. So we have in total 57 students fully involved in the Alliance, which is a lot, and which I'll well, explain after, gives us some challenges. So what do students in 4E+ do? So we have, well, I divided the types of project we do by the colors. So the first one is organizing events and conferences. For example, last week we were in Warsaw for the 2nd edition of the 4E+ for Ukraine Student Conference, which was made by students and for students. And we had the floor and we had the complete freedom of organizing the conference with the help of the University of Warsaw in order to collaborate with Ukrainian students that came from 3 different universities in order to exchange good practices, work on important topics for the students. So this year it was mainly focused on AI. And it was really the opportunity for us to, well, create the whole project and the program. And we were given a lot of freedom in the way the event was settled. Then we also have the 4E+ Student Days that was this year in Copenhagen, and they change cities every year. which has the goal of fostering a sense of community by reaching out directly to the students of the university. So we set up some coffee stands. We give out some information about the Alliance in order to really have the students explain to other students why it's important to have a European Alliance. What does it mean? What do students do inside of it? Because it's, well, we think it's way easier for students to understand how the Alliance works if it's explained by other students, which was also the reason student ambassadors were introduced, because we wanted to have some medium of communication through students directly. Then we also have core projects in the work of the Alliance. For example, the One Core project, that was a 2-year project in the strategy of our Alliance, and we were asked to work on it really, really deeply. And we are also undergoing some efforts in reshaping the role of students in the Alliance, because it's a current evolution. It's constant, well, evolution of the way students work in the Alliance, and we're trying to adapt on what was best and what was lacking some relevancy. So in order to have a better organization in the future. And we also have some delegations to other events that are linked to the European universities, such as the European Student Assembly or the European Students' Unions Conference of the Student Bodies of the Alliance, which was also a way for us to take good practices from other alliances and learn about how we could improve the way we work, and also give some advice to others on what worked well with inside the alliance. So we meet monthly online, and we're trying to organize also an annual meeting of only for students at the, well, 6 months from the general annual meeting, so we can set up the strategy and so we can also get back together, because even though we see each other in events we organize, it's also nice to have a floor and a space to really work for 2-3 days, because we all know that we face the challenges of digitization and the fact that it's hard sometimes to work online. So we feel like it's really important to meet on site. And every year during the annual meeting, we also give a general presentation to the whole General Assembly on what the students did in the Alliance during the past year. So our main challenges, there are 3, I think, but they all join the same problem. Not the same problem, but the same, well, they also from the same thing, the fact that we are a lot of students engaged in the Alliance, as I said, 57, which is quite a lot for 8 universities. So we have a lot of turnover, because the students in the student committee, for example, are appointed by the students' union of each university, but they all have different election dates, which happens every time in the year, and it can cause some challenges in finding new people, and also giving them all the information about what happened before, so they can grasp better and they can adapt to the new role easily. So it's also linked to institutional memory, because we are, well, even though we are from the first call, we still remain a quite young structure. So this, we're also trying to improve it inside of the student committee. So the next one that come, they'll have all the information, and they won't have to do the same things every year to set up and get to work. But currently, we're undergoing a transition period in the Alliance, which will enable us to implement a lot of improvements for the way students act in the Alliance.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Sasha. And thanks a lot to everyone for this challenging and inspiring roundtable. I am convinced that we all have to learn from each other within a framework of collaboration rather than competition, because this is the true mission of knowledge production and educational offer in higher education institutions. Although sometimes the neoliberal pressures that have also infected our universities sometimes make us lose sight of this key principle. So thank you very much for reminding us of this, thanks to your experiences of other alliances between universities. I would call them sister alliances, a bit like we talk about sister projects at European level. And now we have a couple of minutes for 2 questions. We have collected 2 questions, and I have the questions here. The first one is for Hikmet, and the question is, As you are the former chair of EDUC Student Board, reflecting upon the previous years or months, what do you classify as the major challenge you have encountered in coordinating with students from other universities? And what's the most significant achievement you have gained and obviously left to your successor? And the other question is also for Hikmet and Damir. And the question is, hello, I'm a student at Paris 8 and a member of the ERUA Alliance, maybe. Thank you very much for sharing. It's very interesting. As a student, I was wondering if you had any communication ideas for expanding our student board, what worked and what didn't. So you have 4 minutes for try to answer to these very, very challenging questions. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, thank you very much. For the questions, of course, but also for the presentations. I've been taking a few pictures. Yeah, it was really interesting. Thank you to the ECIU, to the FORDEM, and also the 4 EU alliances. Thank you for being here and also sharing your experiences. And when we come to the questions, I think the first question asks about the major challenges, right?
Yes,
the major challenges that we faced at the student board in the previous years and months, and then also what's perhaps the main steps that we've made. And I would say, so the size of our student board has been kind of a challenge as to what we want to do. We have 5 governing board positions, and we have 15 people, well, yeah, plus minus, and this means that we don't really have enough people to put into our positions, and this was also already mentioned by Damir, of course. And yeah, this of course says 2 things. First of all, yeah, we are ambitious, and yeah, we also kind of trust the people we have, but at the same time, as Sasha also said, yeah, there's a turnover, and yeah, this goes through years, and yeah, when people leave, they also leave with their experiences and etc. So for this reason, yeah, I think on a long-term basis, it's also we have to think on a long-term basis, and then we also have to perhaps make our structures based on that, and yeah, understand what our capacity is and also what our aspirations should be. And I think when we come to the most important achievements, I would say, so Damir and I, we have been with the student board, and actually we have been together at the governing board previously. He was our vice chair while I was the chair. And I think it's let's say, also together with other colleagues, of course, our significant achievement would be, of course, we kind of had to win our presence, win our kind of recognition at certain points. And I think this is, of course, slightly looks at the inner politics of certain of the alliance, but at the same time also like university cultures where certain administrators might be a bit, let's say, more reluctant to include students. And we had to, yeah, let's say, make our progress towards, having our presence and bringing it to a very, well set structure. So I'm very happy for this. I'm very glad for this. And at the same time, I'm very happy that, overall at the Alliance, we have a very positive outlook, perhaps from different angles, but at the same time, they kind of coincide, and they are kind of course, towards the inclusion of students. And yeah, I think this could sum up for the first question. And coming to the second question, I think the question is, the second question is, yeah, especially towards communication.
Exactly.
And I would understand this question more like maybe it could look like so communication ideas for expanding the student board. As the student board, we have set up certain positions at the moment, and well, if Damir is here, Damir can also take over this question. But yeah, it's about the positions in my view, and also perhaps communication strategies go around that. Would you like to take over this question, Damir?
Yes, I can comment on this regarding the expansion of our student board. I think it's not planned in terms of numbers of members. The numbers per higher education institution is set, but I agree that always it could be more done in terms of promotion and communication of EDUC activities as such towards new students and the current students as well, because I believe that or not every ordinary student who is not involved in, for example, some student clubs or association or in the academic senate knows about EDUC opportunities. So we proposed some series of tools and measurements how to promote EDUC better. For example, to focus the higher education institutions should focus more on the first year students. So at a welcome presentation, they could present also EDUC and its opportunities. We also supported some thematic posts on our social networks. So for example, when the deadline for summer school application is approaching, to put more content on social networks connected with this. Also that the PR team could make the posts in more languages, so it could be easily then shared in domestic languages of the universities. So yeah, there are a couple of ideas that we presented to the PR teams, and yeah, we believe that it's going to be better through time.
Thanks a lot, Damir. And there is another question, but I think that Katarina already answered, because as you can see from the chat, the question is, as a post-PhD student, currently PhD student at the University of Potsdam, how to find partners for a future international interdisciplinary scientific collaboration in France. But Katarina has answered with very generously propose her email to have a direct connection to the team in Nanterre and Rennes. So thanks a lot, Katarina, also for this. And now I think that we all appreciated this brief open discussion. And let's now move on to the last session of this morning, which will focus on the presentation of some EU policies and initiatives empowering youth, opportunities in the European Universities Alliances. To talk about it, we are very happy to host Sasha Beck, Policy Officer, the Director General for Education, Youth, Sport and Culture within the European Commission, to whom I give the floor. Please, Sasha, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Coyce, and hello everyone. Good morning, wherever you're joining from Europe. Wow, first of all, I'm very impressed, to be honest. This is out of my speaking points, but just listening to you this morning, what I could pick up, it gives a lot of conviction, I think, to everything we do, that you are hearing so many students so engaged and taking ownership of this concept that was put forward of the European Universities Alliances only a few years ago, that now it's growing everywhere. Apart from this, good morning. I'm Sasha Beck from as mentioned, from the European Commission, working in higher education policy, and particularly on the European Universities Initiative. First of all, thank you very much for the I will come back. I'll come to this. Thank you very much for the invitation and for organizing such interesting events and place for students to participate and contribute to this co-creation of such a beautiful initiative. So yeah, we noticed a lot of progress made, and it's very motivating. I will start with a little let's say, policy updates, because there are so many changes and news from Brussels, from the rainy, dark, gray Brussels, that I wanted to share with you, and also highlight the key relevant points, I think, linked to youth, to education, and then I will address the European Universities Initiative part. So yeah, I put the picture of the college, the new college that was that started office earlier this month. Thank you. With in education, and in education, we work under the leadership now of an executive vice president, Roxana Minsatu, responsible for people, skills, and preparedness. So this is already a very good sign I wanted to mention, because having an executive vice president owning this portfolio of education, it's very positive, showing the importance that it is on the political agenda of the EU, and to be honest and share with you things that we noticed too. Meeting her recently, our new executive vice president, she seems very engaged and dedicated to enter in dialogue with young people, and she's very strong about having a more inclusive Erasmus. So yeah, I thought I will share that with you. And on the side of youth, and of course it is also linked to education, higher education, we have the Commissioner Michaelev, that is responsible for intergenerational fairness, youth, sport, culture. But it is the first youth commissioner that I wanted to highlight. So again, the importance of youth dimensions in this new college of commissioners. And as part of the political guidelines, it's, if you want, our roadmap for the next 5 years that were put forward by the re-elected president of the European Commission this summer, Ursula von der Leyen. It was mentioned to indeed create a union of skills, so that will come forward with proposals in the coming weeks, even months, years. But an important point too is the youth dialogues, and within the first 100 days of their mandates, each commissioners will have policy dialogues that are called youth dialogues with young people from all across Europe. Another important youth-related novelty is that youth President's Youth Advisory Board will be set up that will advise directly the President of the European Commission, because she wants a direct contact with young people to stay connected and ensure that the policies we develop, the decisions we take that have so much influence, that are in line with what young people expect, want, dream of. So, and this is also linked with a new initiative that was set up, the Youth Check. So it aims to ensure that the European Union policies, they consider the impact on young people during the design of the policies. So yes, I thought I mentioned that. And if we can move on to the next slide, this political guidelines, they also mentioned the strengthening of our European universities alliances. I wanted to stop on that because yes, I think it's a good sign that also will entail a lot of responsibilities, but it is in the political guidelines because of all the efforts that were put in the past years and all the achievements that are happening on the ground all across Europe thanks to you. So I thought I will also mention this. But again, if it's mentioned in the political guideline, also note that we have a lot of homework to do to continue all this work and to continue deliver and even bring this initiative further. And on the next slide, we can see that the European degree, I'll very briefly mention it, is also cited. So we'll continue to work towards this. What is the European degree? The European degree package. It was a proposal put forward by the European Commission earlier this year in March To make it short, it's the idea to, if you can move on to the next slide, to mainstream joint programs across different universities in Europe that come together, that set up these joint programs. Perfect, the slide. To make transnational education what you might experience in the alliances, as you mentioned, but to make it more mainstream and accessible. There are already joint programs. Maybe some of you are a part of you have friends that participate or are in an alliance where you participate in a joint program. But in terms of absolute numbers, in percentage, there are not many. And one of the main reasons is because it is very burdensome to set up joint programs, and it's possible. It's absolutely possible between 2-3 universities, even more. Some have achieved it, but is very resource intensive. And yes, the proposal of the European Commission is to propose to have a fast track, a way to go much simpler, much faster, and leave out all these administrative and legal barriers that universities face when they want to set up these joint programs. And yeah, I mentioned it's possible within 2-3 universities in the context of alliances. When you have 8-9 partners, you can imagine perhaps that these hurdles, they are exponentially growing the more partner a university have. But to keep it focused on the outcome of this European degree package is to provide more joint programs all across Europe, to in all corners, in all regions of Europe, to have high quality transnational education opportunities, to develop key skills for students, but also for personal fulfillment. So yes, now coming to the European universities, you can see a little brief state of play. As mentioned, they are very high on the political agenda, and the European Universities Alliances were also mentioned in the mission letter of our executive vice president. So the mission letter is stems from the political guidelines of the president of the commission, that gives the homework, if you want, what the executive vice president needs to work towards in the coming years, of course, with all of us and with all of you. So yeah, I think it really has a transformational potential, this European Universities Alliances, to just remind and to provide maybe a step back to remind that yes, this initiative was co-developed, co-constructed between the European Commission together with member states, with the wider higher education sector, continuously with the alliances themselves, and including students and student organizations. And on the next slide, we can see our I will mention the 3 pillars of the European Universities Alliances, although many of you might be well aware of, and I will start with the joint long-term vision. The alliances go way beyond any project-based approach. They are here to come together and to develop this joint long-term strategies envisaged in the long term, with notably joint governance systems, including student council, student boards, as many of you are part of or are familiar with, and also setting up joint management structure. And as this event is about youth, this is also something with that we notice many young people also working in the coordination or local teams in the alliances. So this is a very positive development as well. The second key pillar, let's say, of European Universities Alliance, as you can see on the screen, it's the setup of European inter-university campuses. So that's really targeting all students, all staff, so they can feel they belong to a European Universities Alliance. They have flexible courses, they have joint courses online, joint access to joint programs, to innovative pedagogies, and also challenge-based approaches. They can be mobile, either on digitally, either in a blended or physical way. But yeah, to enable that everyone is has access to such novel and important opportunities, in view again of developing forward-looking skills. And I will focus now on the third pillar, which is the challenge-based approaches. Let's say is the idea to bring together teams of students, of staff, of researchers, but together with the outside academia world, let's say with companies, with NGOs, with municipalities, to work on real world challenges, let's say, and these are often the associated partners of the European Universities Alliances. And this is also a possibility, and what we notice as a good practice, the link with youth organizations in this context, and the work on youth-related challenges, let's say, that can be treated as part of this challenge-based approach of the alliances. So yes, these were let's say, to set the scene. Now in practice, the activities that are implemented, and to come back to the topic, no, you can say on the youth empowerment that are implemented, but also the student engagement. The two aspects of this this event were really crucial. I'm maybe not going into the details because you know them much better than us, actually, because you are doing it. But for example, this youth integration lab that you mentioned is absolutely key key example to promote youth empowerment, or the student engagement, be it in the representation or the simple participation in an alliance, or the promotion of student-led activities. So yeah, the alliances are doing and will continue to create this to encourage and enable student engagement, and accompany and valorize the student engagement. And this seems to be key, also hearing some challenges that you're facing. Yes, we have a repository of plenty of good practices that I won't go into details, but just saying that there are great initiatives and activities elaborated, and now looking also in the next years to come, because again, we are figuring on the political guidelines, so expectations will be high. So it will be time also to deepen the alliances in the coming years, to really build on this groundbreaking initiatives that are set up, but to reach out to embed the alliance more into further faculties, in all faculties of your institutions, to make more students, more staff benefiting of the opportunities that set up. And students, you mentioned it yourself in a brilliant way, but students and youth involved play a key role in this as ambassadors. You really set up student ambassadors processes, let's say, or activities, but any of you is an ambassador of the alliance. So yeah, just singling out this key role. And on this, the inter-alliance cooperation is also key. So this event, as you are organizing, or as you can see on the next slide, I want to refer to the community of practice that was just set up, that is supported by the Erasmus Plus program, and that has the twofold objective to reinforce the inter-alliance cooperation, and also the dissemination to the wider higher education sector, because the alliances are developing groundbreaking, innovative initiatives to also inspire and empower the wider higher education sector. So yeah, also I'm sure most of you are well aware of, but also inviting to continue such discussions in a forum such as the For EU for All. This is the name of the community of practice. And in conclusion, maybe I want to say that to again take an even a step back. Yeah, why are we doing all of this? I think it's important to bear in mind what is at stake in the world, in Europe. What is Europe? What is its future? Yeah, there are wars not only in Europe but also on our continent, and this real need to thrive, to be more innovative, competitive, to address the climate transition, not just because it sounds fancy or it's keywords, because it's a reality for our environment, for our strategic autonomy, for our freedom to yeah, the growing powers all over in the world are there, and yeah, this is, I think, an initiative that can contribute to this, to our need to be stronger. But I want to highlight that, yeah, it's not just because it's fancy and that we want to make it competitiveness, attractiveness. We want to make it the European way, and this is what is stemming from these political guidelines, from what we hear from our the highest political leader, and as also hinted by our by the moderator, Mrs. Esther Kois, if I understood correctly, this hint to resisting to certain logics, let's say, and to indeed do it the European way, promote the European values, the democracy, the equality, inclusion, as we do it in the alliances, and to promote multilingualism, multiculturalism, intercultural dialogue, and intergenerational as well, and with the students. So it's in the making, but there are also further efforts needed. So I wanted to conclude with please continue to dream big. We are doing it in Brussels with you, thanks to you on the ground. But yeah, nothing would happen without you. And in all corners of Europe, giving shape to these dreams and feeding them and making them bigger, even exceeding expectations. So yeah, just some encouraging words on behalf of the European Commission to yeah, to continue to do so, and to together reach more students, more young people from all parts of Europe, and to continue to deliver on, to co-create this beautiful initiative, the European Universities Initiative. And yes, you can move to the last slide, sorry. And yeah, deliver on the ambition of the initiative, but for the youth at the end, for our young people across Europe. So thank you very much.
Thanks very lot, Sasha, if I may, Dr. Beck, because I totally agree with your wise words, wise and very, I don't know, hopefully rich of hope that is very necessary at the moment. So to close this morning full of ideas, we have space to gather more questions and draw a few conclusions and final remarks on what has been highlighted in the rich presentations that followed one another during these 2 hours. Quite. So, is there any question? Yes, there is a, no, maybe it's a statement. If you are interested in experiment, the workshop we created with the share group in Nanterre, don't hesitate to ask me. It's TM. I can remember the initials. So you can also give my contact to students that could need help to create their own workshop for the next events. Sure. Thanks a very lot. Hikmet has a question. Please, Hikmet.
Yeah, thank you very much for this overview. I think it's very, very nice and inspiring to also see, yeah, what's in the background, what are you thinking there with all the policies and etc. And yeah, my question is, yeah, especially about like the new, yeah, European Commission term, and how would you, let's say, what's the difference between the previous term and current term? in regard to the European University Alliances. Of course, with green policies, we have many different approaches. I was just in a conference yesterday regarding ESG, and there one of the politicians mentioned that in the previous term we regarding the Green Deal, we focused on the green aspect. Now we're focused on the deal aspect, and I was just wondering, so like, is there any shift? Is there any difference in the approach right now?
I think that's yes, Miss Green.
Yes.
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 Please.
Thank you for the question. Very interesting. I guess in many people's minds, right? So very accurate. So differences between previous term and coming or ongoing term. I'll first address the general elements and what you mentioned with the climate aspects, and then about specifically the European universities, perhaps. I think it's different times too. I mean, previous term, I need to recall also the different crises that there was, the COVID crisis that went to disrupt, then the start of the war of aggression in Ukraine. So I'm very mentioning very few elements, but those that are starting now, for the coming term, the war has not stopped yet. We're still dealing with some let's say effects of the COVID crisis. So but I believe that, and we can also look at the political guidelines in this sense. Indeed, there is a big need to boost the competitiveness of the EU, to boost our economies. We see it, I think, also on national level in many countries. The discussions, the political developments, also around the budget, etc. But yes, I think that climate remains on the high on the agenda in this endeavor, and the willingness to address both competitiveness and climate neutrality. And I also imagine that this willingness to listen more to young people, to have this youth advisory board, to have this youth dialogues, the youth check, this will reinforce and count on the young people to remind of the importance of that. And about the European universities, so the previous term was the birth, let's say, of the European universities, the first pilots, and so after successive Erasmus Plus calls, we arrived to now 65 alliances that are in different, let's say, readiness, or they started at different stages or in different levels of development. But the first one are now active for 5 years, including some of your alliances. So yes, the next term will be really about this deepening of the activities, because a lot of great initiatives were set up, and now it's the time to really embed the alliance and to as I just mentioned, to reach more people, to reach more students, to reach more staff. So this concept becomes really a part of your universities. And yes, on our side, we are also working on the policy level on a report to showcase the outcomes so far of the initiative as a whole, considering the first 41 alliances mainly, and also working on the an investment pathway for the next programming period. So it's a bit different that the next Commission established for 5 years, because the EU budget works on a 7-year period, and this will come in, it will be from 28 to 2034, and we're working on an investment pathway to provide a more comprehensive funding approach for the alliances. So, it's working on a very different level, but enabling, let's say, that the alliance continue in a more easy, mainstream, streamlined way, and also trying to simplify or to have more synergies between funding sources, so they can address all their missions, the universities. So yeah, a bit what is on our plate for the coming term, let's say.
Thank you. Thanks a very lot. I think it was a truly fruitful initiative, not only because it confirmed to us that thanks to the sharing of the good results already achieved within the EDUC Alliance, that this is truly the right path to make the role and the position and the participation and involvement of students within our universities increasingly engaging and empowering, because students are not just the beneficiaries of excellent education, but protagonists in all respects in shaping the path of research and innovation together with the other components of the university communities. But it has also been a fruitful event because it allowed us to broaden our gaze beyond our own alliance, comparing ourselves with other experiences to exchange points of view, proposal, ideas, even possible forms of present or future collaboration in a way that is full of opportunities that, however, we should be able to grasp so that these possibilities become real capabilities, as Amartya Sen would have said. And finally, it also allowed us to obtain very precious information on the further opportunities that are increasingly foreseen and offered in the European context to reach the objective that EDUC Alliance has given to itself and that I mentioned at the beginning, promoting common European values and strengthening the European identity by educating a new generation of Europeans able to work together across borders, cultures, and languages. I believe that in a tortured world like ours right now, a real wave of hope really comes from this kind of experiences, which are not just wishful thinking, but action, collective action. And in a world increasingly full of barriers, working on the threshold of these borders, as bell hooks would have said, is a good way to cultivate hope, as we all know that the foundational aims of the European Union are. So what better setting than an alliance between young people engaged in the path of knowledge to achieve this? Many thanks to all the speakers for their time and very focused speeches. Thanks to all the participants who followed this event. Thanks to Daniela, Carlotta, Matteo, Fabio, and all the EDUC staff of the University of Cagliari who organized the event and coordinated it down to the smallest details, including technical ones. And thanks above all to this program of collaboration among universities for the opportunities it offers to all of us, teachers, researchers, technical administrative staff, students in particular, with respect to this specific event, to make increasingly active your participation and engagement within the EDUC Alliance and beyond. And please allow me some final words. We would like to dedicate this event to the memory of our beloved colleague, Katja Jung, who strongly believed in the importance of empowering young people. We agreed with her the topic of this first themed event, and we missed very much her passion, her intelligence, her grace, so much. So Katja, wherever you are now, this is for you. Please, I remind all participants again to fill out the form, clicking on the link you find in the chat, so that we can then send you the certificate of attendance. And again, thanks everyone. I wish you all the best and also Merry Christmas.